Beyond happiness, joy is the deeper experience of the indwelling Holy Spirit. I hope these words will encourage and inspire you. Reading from 1 Peter 1, verse 8. Though you have not seen him, you love him. And even though you do not see him now, you believe in him and are filled with an inexpressible and glorious joy. And now we'll hear from Benigno Sanchez-Eppler from Section of the Americas.
It's a tall order to be asked to talk about joy, particularly in times when it's hard to focus on joy as such. But maybe because it's hard, it's all the more important to do so. And so I'm particularly grateful to be given this opportunity to search within and to remember, first of all, experiences of joy. I am very glad that in the Quaker tradition, there are time-honored ways of reading the Bible and taking those messages within. And there's one that today makes me think and makes me feel and opens me up to the joy of the season. In John 15:11, the guide, the master, the Christ himself says, "These things have I spoken unto you, that my joy may remain in you, and that your joy might be full." So it's not just any joy, it's his joy. And it's not just any measure of joy, it's a fullness of joy. When I was asked whether I had anything to say about joy for the season, I kind of went like this, and I can say, search me. What do I know about joy? And yet, at that very moment, I was able to think that I heard very vividly words that Jesus might have told me. He might have said, "Look, what do you mean you don't know anything about joy? You've just gone through the season of Thanksgiving. I have heard you in prayer being thankful. And thankful in ways that made it very clear that you weren't taking credit for the things that you were being thankful for. Keep praying that way. And if you don't think you have anything to say about joy, just stop and remember. Remember experiences of joy. I have to confess that I decided, perhaps quite foolishly, perhaps a little bit mischievously, that I was going to remember my earliest experience of joy. And of course, it was so early that I couldn't possibly have remembered it. But I was able to imagine it very, very vividly, as if I was living it. And that was the experience of being a child, very little, very helpless, very alive, and at the same time, both helpless and fully satisfied, fully empowered to receive what I was given. That was amazing. Because in the memory, in the imaginings of the helplessness of the child, and in the imagining of the fullness of the ways in which the child is obedient to what has to happen at that particular point for the child, I felt that those were my easiest days of simplicity. I was not able to will anything that was outside the will of God. There was a power in the helplessness of that little child, that was I in this case, that I had to search a little deeper in. And it didn't take me very long. It didn't take me very long to get back to one of these surprising Quaker bottom lines. Quakers are blessed with experiencing God in many ways, as light, as seed, as teacher, as guide, as doctor. And they've also went the distance. And they dared to experience God as the babe being born, the babe newly born. Not so much the little kid of Christmas, but some, of course, related to that kid and Christmas, but the babe, Christ the babe alive in you. Christ the babe alive in me, exerting the powers of Christ as a newborn. Sometimes Quakers have a hard time insisting in one of their core beliefs, one of their core assertions, the assertion being that there's that of God in everyone. Sometimes it's hard to really yield to the fact that that includes there's that of God in everyone out there. And some in a difficult moment might say, well, how did God get in there? Well, the experience of Christ birthing inside of us to guide us, to lead us, to move us as a newborn child. It's one of the most powerful experiences of being led, of being blessed, of being accompanied by the divine. Faced with the question, what is joy? You might want to ask yourself, where is joy? How do I move into it? What takes me into it? What happens when I act inside that joy?
We invite you to reflect on these queries. What is joy? Is joy from faith irrepressible? How is joy being part of a person of faith? Feel free to reflect on these yourself, with others, with your meeting, or to write in the forum that Woodbroke has provided, with where you can reflect with other friends who have also listened to this video. Thank you.